everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I wanted to go over a topic that was brought up recently in one of my other videos. Today, we're going to talk about the signs or what it means when an avoidant has chosen you as their partner, as the person they want to commit to, as the person they want to maybe change for the relationship. Sometimes that happens as well. Avoidants may want to particularly change for one person. It happens. And the reason why this was brought up is recently I made a video about signs the avoidant is unsure about you, or they're still on the fence, or they're not really sure what direction this relationship will go. And some of the comments were mentioning this seems like, this is how avoidants act when they're sure of you. What's the difference? And so that's why I wanted to make a video about that they are sure of you, that they have chosen you, that they do want to be with you. And I do want to let you know every person is different. So if your partner doesn't really fit this list or criteria, it doesn't mean that they don't like you and they're not going to choose you or they haven't. This is just something based on what I've seen when I'm practicing, okay? And every individual does have a different criteria. So also, if you guys are anxious, preoccupied, I wanted to know, what are some of the characteristics of yourself when you choose somebody? What does that look like? Because I think some individuals would like to know. I work with more predominantly avoidant folks. And so I wanted to see, how do anxious individuals act when they choose somebody? So if you guys are comfortable sharing that, I'd appreciate that. I'll look in the comments and see. So the very first one, to know if an avoidant is sure about you, if they have chosen you, if they want to be with you, is that they start taking initiative, even if it's just a little bit, because avoidant individuals, they tend to take the back seat on being initiative some of the time, right? And this is more throughout the relationship, like as the relationship progresses, because in the beginning, avoidants are more comfortable taking initiative, but when they start getting more comfortable with someone, the truth of who they really are, they're more comfortable putting their walls down. They feel like they don't have to be somebody they're not to cover up the possibility of them being rejected. And I made a video on why avoidants act differently in the beginning of the relationship. So I'm not going to explain that in too much detail, but I'm talking about taking initiative within the actual length of the relationship, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is. And I'm going to give an example of what this initiative may look like, because it could be a little different, because individuals who maybe are not avoidantly attached, their initiative is much more prominent. It's much more obvious, right? And the prominence makes it more difficult when an avoidant is being initiative. It can sometimes feel like they're not, because you're comparing it to someone who might be more prominent, okay? So let's say an example could be that the weather is nice outside, right? And maybe they will suggest going to the park. They may say something like, weather's nice, do you want to go to the park after work today, right? Or it could even be that you guys are scheduled to already hang out, and maybe they have decided, okay, today let's go to the park. So maybe they say, make sure that you have your tennis shoes on, bring a baseball cap, we're going to take a walk today. And so they've kind of directly mentioned, this is what I want to do. I think you'll have fun with it. Sorry, they didn't really directly mention it, but they directly put initiative, right? They mentioned that because the weather's nice. So they are deciding to make themselves more involved in this relationship. Another example could be, it doesn't even have to be initiative about like doing something together. They could maybe ask you, have you had a busy day at work? They're taking initiative of what's going on in your life and their own, and they're intertwining the two. Now, why does this mean that an avoidant is sure of you or they have chosen you? Now, a lot of people will say, okay, this is what normal people do, like secure people, not normal, sorry, secure people do even if they're unsure. That's true, but avoidant individuals, they do not really like to let people into their inner world. So being initiative towards somebody is a sign that they probably have decided you're here to stay. It's not always the case, but most of the time it truly is. And you guys know avoidant individuals can be with somebody and they still are not taking initiative. That doesn't mean that they don't love you or they don't like you. It just means that they haven't really fully decided that this is going to be something they stay forever. Now, initiative doesn't mean it happens every single day all the time, that they're suddenly 100% secure. No, it might, but it could just mean that they're just more comfortable being open and initiating every now and again, okay? Even if it's just a little bit. The next one, which I would say is one of the most important ones, because this is something that a lot of avoidant individuals, it means that they're opening up to you, but it also means they probably put some effort in this as well, which means it was a conscious decision, typically. Not all the time, but it typically is, and that's that they're less defensive when you bring up issues that were once triggering to them, okay? So why not we start with an example? I'm going to give an example of somebody who is a fearful avoidant female and a dismissive avoidant male. So these are both avoidant individuals. I mainly work with avoidant, so that's why this example is coming out like this. However, this can also be like an anxious preoccupied, and it's not gender specific. So we have a fearful avoidant female, and fearful avoidants come with a lot of trauma, right? Tends to have PTSD, other significant characteristics in this person's life. So let's say she's had a traumatic life and her family system, family function was not very healthy, but she has not really decided that she wants to cut this family off. She's an adult. Let's say she's in her 30s or 40s, so she's fairly independent. She lives by herself, but she still keeps in contact with her family. And perhaps let's just say her, younger cousin just had a baby. Let's just say this is what the scenario is. She was invited to celebrate this event. Maybe it was a baby shower. Maybe it was a gender reveal party, whatever it may be. Maybe her cousin is pregnant, so maybe the baby isn't there. So whatever this event was, it was a family gathering. She was invited. She went to this gathering, but she did it because she felt obligated to, and she felt like this was something that if she did not show up, it would come across as very rude, even though her family mistreated her very much so, even her cousin. Maybe she was a scapegoat of the family. So she has a good reason to not go, okay? But she has decided, because a lot of fearful avoidants struggle with boundaries, decided she will go. This is typically where her mood gets very low. Her anxious side starts showing up even more prominently, and she starts leaning on her partner a lot during these moments, right? And so her partner is dismissive avoidant. So dismissive avoidant individuals, they tend to work things out very strictly, where they don't like talking about it, they like looking for solutions. Where fearful avoidants, especially fearful avoidants who are leaning anxious, or actually if they're female, it depends on, a lot of gender structures in America. A lot of times female individuals are a little bit more available or aware of expressing their feelings in this way, but it's not always the case. But sometimes female fearful avoidants are a little bit more comfortable expressing without looking for solutions. Dismissive avoidance, especially if they're male, they tend to lean more towards finding a solution right away, okay? And so we can already see that their perspective of how to heal and connect with these certain emotions are different. So let's just say she went to this baby shower. She comes back home. She calls him, it's her boyfriend, dismissive avoidant male, and she's saying she's had a really hard day. It was really hard. Maybe they made some comments about her. She's feeling very hurt. She's feeling very triggered, and she reaches out and leans on him emotionally. During this time, she repeats a lot of stuff, and she's not really listening to his suggestions. This is a trigger for him. Now, dismissive avoidants in general, they feel very triggered when they're giving you suggestions and you're dismissing them because they feel like you're not listening, you're not respecting them. And so this is something that has been a trigger for him. And she keeps bringing up the same thing. He's giving solutions. She's not listening, or she's not taking it. She's listening, but she's so emotional, she can't calm down. What she wants is to be listened to. He wants to give solutions. But instead of him getting annoyed, pulling back, or crashing out, getting very irritable, let's say he struggles with a little bit of anger, he didn't get angry. He stayed calm, and he said during this moment, maybe he mentioned, I know you're having a bad week, you're having a bad day. I know when I have bad days, you're always flexible with me. I want to be flexible and patient with you. Avoidant individuals, especially dismissive avoidants, they struggle with patience, a lot of them. And so he's saying, I want to be more patient with you. And instead of being angry or irritable towards her, he wants to be understanding because he doesn't want to make her feel alienated and alone. And he feels very frustrated that she willingly put herself in a situation that is triggering, which is why he tends to feel upset and triggered, because he hates seeing her sad. But he has decided it's not going to translate that way. All it's going to do is make her feel unwelcome to share her feelings. So he decided he's going to listen to her and let her talk and repeat all she needs to, because she's not going to do this all the time. It's only happening with this family event. So he has become less defensive, less triggered, less hurt the fact that she's not taking his suggestions. He has decided, I don't want to act this way because this is a vulnerable moment for her. This happens a lot, where consciously dismissive avoidance and fearful avoidance will stop and think, maybe I don't want to show up the way I used to because I don't want my partner to feel bad. I want to be there for them. They're more aware of the other person, and therefore their triggers are slowly diminishing because they realize it's not worth it. That means the trigger in of itself is not as prominent because he can stop feeling that way. People, when they're triggered, sometimes it comes out of nowhere, right? And they don't know how to control it. But the fact that he is able to control it and say, maybe it's not worth feeling this way right now, she needs me. He's already feeling like I can trust this woman more because my triggers are not as active. And I've decided I don't want to push her away and make her shut down because he knows that she does that. And I'm happy that she's opening up to me. Let me listen to her. And that's a huge sign that this person is ready to commit, is sure, has chosen this person to be his life partner. So that's an example, okay? The next one is the decreased sense of my way or the highway approach. And express things more collaboratively. Avoidant individuals, more particularly dismissive avoidant, but it does happen with fearful avoidance as well, where they have a my way or the highway. This is the way I am, take it or leave it. Or I can't give you what you want, either accept me or you're going to have to break up with me because I can't change, right? That's their typical approach. However, as they get more comfortable, as they get more sure of you, as they get more sure of themselves, as they feel more like they don't want to lose you, they start being a little bit more collaborative. I'm going to work on changing. I hope that you're patient with me. I think we've both made progress. Something where you start seeing they're expressing things more like that. And that's a sign that this individual is sure about you, that they have chosen you, that they have decided you're the person they want to be with, they want to spend their life with, okay? The next one is that they communicate more clearly and consistently, okay? This is common with avoidant individuals. Sometimes they're like this in general, so this doesn't always mean they're sure about you because some of them are just like this naturally. But especially if you've noticed more clear communication, more consistent, more prominent communication, it is a sign that they're more sure of you. They've decided you're part of their life. They're going to commit to you. They're going to change. They're going to adjust for you, okay? They reach out more regularly without you needing to prompt them, right? That's an example. They're more clear. Hey, you said that yesterday and you were pretty emotional and I understand, but it really irritated me that you kept talking over me. Let's say the avoidant individual is saying that. They used to not be open. They would just shut down. Now they're saying, yesterday you were just talking over me. You were anxious. You were worried. And, I understand you didn't mean it like that, but when you talked over me, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So they're communicating. Instead of shutting down, they're telling you what's going on, okay? The next one is, I think it's pretty significant, but some people can miss it. It's that they express the value in human relationships, particularly romantic relationships, much more than they used to, okay? So I'm going to give an example, and this is common, and it does happen. So let's say we have a dismissive avoidant. Let's just say it's the same, couple we were talking about before. Dismissive avoidant male, fearful avoidant female. And maybe something happened with her car, and she needs to get it repaired, whatever it is, and she's reaching out to him and saying, like, this is really frustrating. This is bothering me. And he brings up something like, hey, my buddy, his girlfriend recently, her car got totaled and she had to buy, a new car, whatever it is. And he's trying to comfort her. And I know it's hard, but, I want you to appreciate that your car wasn't totaled. Whatever you need, I'll help you. And then he mentions something along the lines of, that's why, relationships are helpful because my buddy was able to help his girlfriend when she needed it. He, was able to drive her to work when she needed it while she was getting her rental or while they were waiting on that approval, right? So he brought that up, and maybe he mentioned that's why it's good that I'm here. He brings things up. It doesn't even have to be direct, but even him talking about his buddy, that's why relationships are beneficial because he can help her while she's waiting for the rental or while this is happening, while they're checking, the fault of the accident, right? Because in the United States, sometimes, at least in my state, sometimes it takes a while to find whose fault it is. And so they don't know where the insurance is. So you might not have a rental for a bit because you don't know who's paying for it, right? And so during that time, his buddy's going to help her. And he brings up, this is why relationships are beneficial. And so he's showing human relationships are valuable. Before, and a lot of avoidants, especially if they're really far from their healing journey and they really haven't decided who they're going to commit to, if they're ever going to commit, they do not see the value in relationships. The fact that the value is showing up very much means this person, likes relationships. They're starting to like them. They start to see it. They're okay with sacrificing because relationships have sacrifice, right? And they're okay with that. The next one is that they are transparent about their life in general. They share their day-to-day schedule. They tell you what they're doing, what they're going to do, whatever's going on. They slept in, or they woke up, maybe they used the bathroom, and usually they wake up at 8 a.m. They use the bathroom. They said, hey, good morning. I'm probably going to sleep in for a little bit, just letting you know. Really letting you know what's going on in their life because they're open to you, because they don't want you to worry, because they trust you that you're not going to hold anything against them, and they feel safe with you. Their lives are integrating. That's very important, okay? The next one is also very important. A lot of these are important. The next one is that they're willing to work through issues instead of avoid them, right? So disagreements. Instead of avoid those disagreements or shut down or complain that you guys fight so much, because maybe you've adjusted too. You're trying not to, pick as many fights, which is good, right? Every person has to adjust, both of you guys. But maybe this individual is saying, you know what? I want to work through these issues. My partner is really bothered by this. Let me hear my partner out. And they also bring issues to you. So they understand that working through issues as a couple has benefits. Willing to even work through disagreements or misunderstandings in communication. Listen and adjust, not just defending, right? These are important aspects. The next one is, I would say prioritizing you, but I'm going to see how to word it. Yeah, okay. It's like they admit to prioritizing things that you like because of you. And I know that sounds like a really specific thing, but this happens a lot in couples sessions. Like I see it happen when I'm making progress with my patients, like they're making progress as a couple, where the dismissive avoidant or fearful avoidant will say something like, well, my partner likes this, so I do it because they like it. And it's not because they feel like resentful or they're not happy. They like doing it. I actually had one couple recently mention something along the lines of, I'm not going to give too much details, but basically avoidant individual kind of pulls away in the bedroom, and the avoidant individual, after years of working on this, they had mentioned, I still don't really feel as connected with myself and my body and who I am, but I prioritize this intimacy because it matters to my partner. And they're not doing it. That doesn't mean they don't like it. They do, but they have their own wound there. So they've decided, I'm not going to prioritize my trigger. I'm going to prioritize my partner. And you'll see that a lot. Maybe they'll say something like, I don't like going on dates, but my partner does. So I want to prioritize that for my partner. If you're the individual, the partner of the avoidant, don't take that as an offense or that they don't like you or they don't want it. It's a sign they don't like it. They should want to. Sometimes the trauma they had, they can't get there right away. And that'll happen eventually. But the fact that they're doing it because of you, that's actually how avoidants show love, much more than you would probably even recognize. Avoidants show love by sacrifice. A lot of them do, especially if you're a male avoidant. Sacrifice is very common in the way they show love. It's not a bad thing. This is them showing you, I want to do this. So take that in. If they are prioritizing things or sacrificing things for you, it's a sign that they love you and they have chosen you. Because a lot of avoidants, they are, like we had talked about, they're a my way or the highway kind of person. So if they're not, it's not their way or the highway. It's you. It's all you. You're very important to them. They are doing this because they want to, not because they have no choice, okay? The next one is that they're more patient and emotionally available to you, okay? They show up more with empathy, less impulsive or less critical, and they also have a more stronger capacity to hold the emotional space as well as your emotional space. We gave that example earlier about a dismissive avoidant male and fearful avoidant female. She was feeling very stressed about, bringing a lot of triggers and trauma. And instead of him feeling like he couldn't handle her emotions, he was able to for longer stretches of time than he used to. So an example of being more patient, emotionally available, right? The next one is being open to feedback and doesn't get defensive. Avoidant individuals are very, very triggered by criticism. I have personally never seen an avoidant individual, dismissive avoidant especially, fearful avoidant might not be, who is not sensitive to criticism. It's just, that's the way it is. It doesn't mean that they don't take it well necessarily. It might, but it's more likely that they feel like who they are is not good enough. It's never accepted. So if you say anything, they're going to take it as criticism. You want to change me, you want to control me, whatever it is. But instead, now when you give feedback, hey, I noticed that you've been out a lot longer, or you've been drinking more, and I'm just worried about you. I just want to make sure that everything's okay. Maybe what could be better is maybe you could just have, one drink with dinner instead of, you know, drinking X amount, right? And so your partner is giving feedback, and the dismissive avoidant or fearful avoidant, instead of getting angry, they're seeing it as, okay, you care about me. They're listening to your concerns, and they're trying to understand rather than react. They may even ask, how can I do better? Or that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing with me. They open up, and they're really open to hearing your feedback because they trust you and they think you're not trying to change them. You're not trying to hurt them. You're trying to help them, right? And it's because they are sure about you. They've decided you're the person in my life, so I'm going to take what you say seriously, okay? I hope that makes sense. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.